What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be predicting the outcome of Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley, and this is going to be an 8-rounder in the cruiserweight division, and this fight is going to be Sunday, August 29th, from the Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse in Cleveland, Ohio, and this fight is going to be broadcasted on Showtime pay-per-view. And to get into both fighters' resumes, Jake Paul, fighting out of the United States, holds a record of 3 wins, no defeats, with all 3 wins coming by way of knockout. He's currently ranked number 638 by BoxRec in the cruiserweight division. He's also a very popular YouTuber. He has a large social media following, and he's a former actor. But to list some of his best victories in the boxing ring, he has a knockout win over YouTuber Anyson Gibb, a knockout victory over former NBA star Nate Robinson, and a knockout victory over former Olympic wrestler, former UFC fighter, and former Bellator welterweight champion Ben Askren. And to get into his opponent's resume, Tyron Woodley, also fighting out of the United States, holds a boxing record of 0-0, and he's currently not ranked by BoxRec in the cruiserweight division, but as a mixed martial artist, he has a record of 19 wins, 7 defeats, and 1 draw, with 7 knockout victories, 5 submission victories, and 7 decision victories. He's also a former UFC welterweight champion, and the UFC is the best promotion in mixed martial arts, so that is a very high achievement. He's also coming off a 4-fight losing streak in mixed martial arts, and those losses have come to Vicente Luque, Colby Covington, Gilbert Burns, and to Kamaru Usman. And his last knockout victory in mixed martial arts happened to be in 2016, where he knocked out Robbie Lawler to win the UFC welterweight title. And in my opinion, this fight is going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be a knockout victory for Jake Paul or a knockout victory for Tyron Woodley. And how I see either man getting the stoppage, I see either Tyron Woodley coming forward and landing that overhand right that he has landed so many times before to knock down or hurt or even knock out opponents in mixed martial arts. And I see him either landing that shot and hurting and stopping Jake Paul, or I see Jake Paul countering and stopping Tyron Woodley. And I think Woodley's going to be the one that comes forward. I think Woodley's going to try and throw that overhand right. And from what I've seen on the pads, he actually has decent stand-up. And, I mean, we all know that. In the UFC and in mixed martial arts and other promotions, he has showed that he has decent stand-up, great power, and he could really knock an opponent out if he lands clean. So Jake Paul does have to watch out for that overhand right. And from what I've seen, Jake Paul does not really have any head movement. So if Tyron Woodley does throw, it most likely will land. But Jake Paul, he does have the height advantage. I believe he also has the reach advantage. And I see him the one sort of on the defensive trying to counter Tyron Woodley. And I think that's going to work out 100%. I think Tyron Woodley is going to be the one coming forward. I know he's been training with Floyd Mayweather, who's sort of a fighter that loves to counter from the outside. But I don't see Tyron Woodley doing that game plan here. I see him coming forward and trying to land power shots to knock out Jake Paul. And as I mentioned before, I don't see that going to plan. And I see Jake Paul actually landing the harder shots when he counters Tyron Woodley when he's trying to throw an overhand or something like that. And I see that shot that Jake Paul does land as a counter, dropping Tyron Woodley or getting him hurt where Jake Paul finishes him standing, or he either knocks him out cold. And if Woodley does get knocked down, I see him getting back up. I don't see it getting stopped just like Ben Askren did. But if it's as severe, then it could be a stoppage right there. But if Tyron Woodley does get back up from a knockdown, I see Jake Paul finishing him standing, or just him dropping him again and the referee waving it off. And I think the stoppage will happen very early on, like in the first half of the fight, like from rounds 1 to rounds 4. And I hope that if Jake Paul does get a victory here, he actually fights a boxer, which I don't see that happening, but I really hope he does, because he's just been fighting YouTubers, athletes that have no combat sports experience, and he's been fighting UFC fighters. And Ben Askren was his last fight, and I know many people were giving him credit for that, and I was actually picking Ben Askren to beat him for whatever reason. But Ben Askren is a fighter who is a wrestler, who's really just primarily a wrestler. I mean, Tyron Woodley, I know he's listed as a wrestler in most of his MMA profiles, but he has decent stand-up, unlike Ben Askren. Ben Askren literally has never, I believe, knocked out an opponent standing, like just landed a shot standing and knocked him out. He's only got TKO victories on the ground. As for Tyron Woodley, he does have the power and he does have the stand-up to knock an opponent out, and I've seen him on the pads. He's got decent timing and decent speed, and he is 39 years old, and he is also coming off a 4-fight losing streak, as I mentioned before, and this is not a prime Tyron Woodley, and if it was, I would say he knocks out Jake Paul, but now, as I mentioned before, I'm edging it to Jake Paul to get the job done, and I see him stopping Tyron Woodley, as I mentioned before, from rounds 1 to rounds 4. So overall, I believe that Jake Paul will defeat Tyron Woodley by knockout to get his 4th victory, 4th by knockout, and once again, the stoppage will happen from rounds 1 to rounds 4. And yeah, that's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.